Call to order the Charter Township of Oxford Planning Commission regular meeting scheduled for Thursday, November 9th, 2017. Will you please rise and pay respects to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We note the roll.
Noted.
Understand the two absences are excused. Item 4, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular Planning Commission meeting agenda for Thursday, November 9th, 2017.
Second. Been moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Spiz. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Carries. Item number 5, approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular Planning Commission meeting minutes of October 26th, 2017. I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Knoll. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, please.
Yes, Ron.
There seems to be a date error. The approval of the minutes, where it says in the minutes, it should say approval of the October 12th minutes. And then the motion, just below it, I'm on the first page where it says Planning Commission regular meeting October 26, 2017. These are the minutes of the October 12th, not the 26th. These are the meeting minutes of the 26th, but on the 26th, we were approving the meeting minutes for the 12th. So that line should be changed to October 12th
Right?
on there. So
Everybody with that?
I'm saying that in that middle paragraph, it should say approval of the October 12th minutes, and then there's discussion on that. And then below that, where the motion starts, Planning Commission regular meeting October 12th, 2017.
Okay.
I have a question on the middle paragraph, and it's the part that's
Under
highlighted or in italics. It says insufficient in size and width, and ask how it happened. And it should say happened. It should be plural happened. And I asked for a copy of the October 12th minutes to see if it said happened, like the final copy, and I don't have it to look at, so I don't actually know what it looks like.
you want that word to be changed to happen, though?
Yeah, it should say happened
Okay.
in this version, and it should also say happened in the October 12th version. That's why it would be helpful to actually have the approved set with us, so that we can make sure that the changes were put in like we had thought.
Maybe that with us.
In this case, we're approving minutes with changes. So we really should be getting the final version in the next set to make sure the changes match what we approved.
So each one of us should have that in our package, what you're asking.
Right, and we don't have the October 12th, and I asked for it and I haven't got it. So that's my problem. Like it's at, I don't know if it's in it or not.
Anything else?
I just had a little bit of issue with what it said. I said at the last meeting, but I'm not going to go into that in a lot of detail, but that is not really what I said. And also it said the committee had set a meeting date to perform the inspection. I don't remember them saying that. I thought they said they were going to set a date.
No, it was said.
It was set?
Yep.
Okay, I misheard that. So really, my only changes are within the date
Okay.
and happened to happened.
Everyone okay with the changes? Any other discussion?
I'll amend I can't amend. Do I have to make a new motion?
You can agree to amend your motion. Commissioner Knoll has to, if he wants to amend his second, and then you have to vote on the amendment, and then you have to vote on the original motion.
Okay, I'll make my motion to amend the changes as indicated on the date And what was the word? Happened?
Yes.
Yes.
Happened. Okay.
Support.
No, John has to amend his,
I was going to amend my
You
amendment.
gotta do it positive.
yeah. Now we vote on that.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes.
Now I will rescind my motion.
You don't have to rescind.
No, I don't?
You just have to take a vote on that first motion to approve them.
Okay, your motion as amended now.
Okay.
Those in favor of those as the motion as amended?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Item number 6, public comments on items not scheduled for public hearing or on this agenda. So if you have comments about the public hearing that's scheduled, or comments about the preliminary site plan for Oxford Commons, we'll get to those later. If you have anything else that you want to bring up, now is your time. You've got 3 minutes to approach the commissioner. You speak to me, the chairman. Please come up with a lectern, give your name, address, and what your comments may be.
Good evening, Mary Ann Keynes. I'm a resident of the Stony Lake Village condo complex there in Waterstone. And I just wanted to express my concerns in regards to, we had a decision by the Board of Trustees last night, the liquor license for the Legacy Center for the proposed 925 Bar and Grill was approved last evening. But there were 3 concerns that I had expressed, and Mr. Mills did not address those, but I wanted to bring them forth to your board as well, just so that perhaps, because everything moves so quickly with this development, that perhaps you could keep them in mind as maybe when another issue with the Legacy Center comes up before you. And those 3 things were security. We were just concerned that with the liquor license, they don't have security currently in the structure right now. And I'm not sure with the obtaining of a liquor license if there is some kind of security that goes along with that. But we were just concerned because of the youth that are in the structure. And then of course outside there's a very steep incline on the western side, the side that faces us off Lake Duels. And we're just concerned with folks, if alcoholic beverages should not be taken out of the structure. That doesn't mean that it never happens, but we just wanted to make sure for folks' safety that they wouldn't fall down that incline or go near the water with alcoholic beverages. So I don't know in the future if that's something that Mr. Mills will be hiring a security guard, or if that's something that goes along with obtaining a liquor license. The second thing was the soundproofing and perhaps added insulation with that cinder block structure. We're just concerned that one portion that's to the northwest of the Legacy Center itself, the structure, there's going to be an arcade, there's going to be the bowling alley, there's going to be the event center, there's going to be the electric go-karts, and with cinder block, it's not that soundproof. And then of course, again, with Lake Duels being a conduit of sound, we're just afraid that we're going to hear, already we hear, music coming from the energy zone, and anytime they use the mic system or have a special event outside, we can hear everything that's being said. So we just wanted to once again, since they are doing the construction of that area now would be the time, if we can have any influence as to making sure that there would be some soundproofing and insulation to help us avoid some noise issues later on down the road. And thirdly, I guess we were just looking at the hours of operation. Now they have a bar and grill with a liquor license. Are they going to be open till, 2 a.m.? And how that's going to, impact us, those of us close and with our backyards, and especially in the summertime, maybe not so much in the wintertime, but in the summertime, if they're going to have any outdoor seating or availability, would their hours of operation change now to hours of a bar? That's, this being a unique situation with that structure being more in a residential area versus sometimes where you have establishments in more of a commercial environment. So those were just the 3 of the concerns that I had brought up last last night. And just, I thank you for your time in hearing those, just to kind of keep those in mind down the road. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public wishing to speak on items not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to commissioners' comments. Mr. Spiz.
I have none at this time.
If someone starts to speak, type
Mr. Rosner.
Just a quick question, when do we approve the meeting schedule? Is that?
I got a feeling that's in just the first week of December.
It'd be,
Second week of December.
It is, I didn't.
It's on the agenda.
that'd be.
Mine cut off, okay.
Okay,
It is today, okay,
tonight,
got it, we'll talk about it then.
Mr. Knoll,
No comments.
Mr. Curtis.
I have no comments.
Okay, I'd like to move on to item 8 then. Public hearings.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the purpose of hearing to receive public comments on the proposed special land use, SLU for a drive-in, drive-through business associated with permitted use, subject to section 6.6, drive-in, drive-through businesses associated with the permitted use is a special land use in the C2 General Commercial Zoning District in which the subject property is located. Ordinance 67A, Article 3.5.L.2.K. C2 General Commercial. Location 595 North Lapeer Road, which is on the west side of North Lapeer, south of Markets, and north of Gateway Drive, within the Township of Oxford, Michigan, parcel P0422-151-005 in the C2 General Commercial Zoning District at 714. Second.
Been moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Knoll to open the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the public hearing's open. I think the first thing to do for the public hearing might be to get a explanation, a brief explanation of what you're planning to do, and then at that point we'll have the public kind of make their comments or questions. Okay? Have a what? Oh, nice, yeah. Let me get your cover up here. Which map you want?
It would be the front fascia designs. I don't know what number that is.
I don't remember what it is either. Well, you got a lot of here.
Okay, good, close.
Almost. Bear with me, I will get it. There we go. This one? Okay. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Hi. My name's Matt Ray. I'm the architect of record for Oxford Commons. I have with me Alex Orman, the civil engineer, Leo Stasinopoulos, the principal partner in PELJ Properties, and George Zervis, contractor. We're proposing to build or construct a just over 11,000 square foot retail center, just over 7 acres. It'll consist of a Leo's Coney Island restaurant, 3 lease tenants, and a 4th tenant with a drive-through window. At present, we don't have, other than Leo's Coney Island, we do not have any commitments from tenants. However, we have a broker who's actively seeking those tenants for this location. Should I go into the building design, or is that the next phase?
I don't think you have to go into the building
All right.
design if you don't.
So we're proposing, for marketability, a tenant with the drive-through window. We're seeking for a small, not a small, but a less intense user, like a coffee shop or an ice cream store. We really don't want a full-blown restaurant in there that would compete with Leo's Coney Island. So we're looking for something that would complement with that. And so we've met the drive-through ordinance with 6 parking spaces, or 6 stacking spaces. And although I think we could add a 7th space adjacent to the first row of parking. It would accommodate 7 spaces before anybody would back out into the aisle. We've reviewed the comments from planning and the fire department regarding the menu board and took into consideration that we probably, or would we consider moving it forward to space number 3 instead of space 5, I think where it's at now.
Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair. I don't think this is the time to go into all that detail until we get into the item under new business. This is more for public comment, and just kind of give an overview for the public to see what the proposal is, so they have an idea, just in case they have comments or questions, versus going into all the detail from the planner and the engineer.
Right.
Okay.
So your tenant base is going to be kind of like a coffee shop for the drive-through? Do you know
Yeah,
what-
we're looking for, a coffee or ice cream tenant that would complement the rest of the businesses in the center. And then the 3 retail spaces, or the 3 spaces between the 2 would be, retail or business, whatever, we can get in there.
Good. Okay, I think we'll ask the public if you've got questions or comments. Anyone?
Again, Mary Ann Keynes, a Waterstone resident there in the Stony Lake Village condos. I just would like to say we're looking forward to this development coming in, but we do have just a couple of things we thought we'd bring up this evening. We weren't quite sure the way the retail structure itself will be situated. Will it be facing Lapeer Road, or will it be, like the Coney Island be the one facing Lapeer Road, or on the very end and then going back toward the tractor and truck supply? So we weren't quite certain the size of the parcel, the 7 acres, how that would be situated. And that leads me into, as a segue to our second concern, and this is nothing new, we brought this up before, no matter what would be the development on that parcel, is just Lapeer Road's the infrastructure, the fact that the tractor and truck supply parking lot has to go, if you want to exit the establishment and go north and make a left on Lapeer Road, the tractor and truck supply parking lot feeds you through what was the Burning Oak parking lot, and then there's that very small, minimal crossover then to go north and left on Lapeer Road, and I feel that would be a safety issue, and we've discussed the Lapeer enhancements that were supposed to be done in 2019, but I don't know, with the streetscape in downtown Oxford being pushed to 2020, is that also still 2019, or does that get pushed back to 2020, which would have a delay? I'm sure this establishment, this retail structure will be done by then and operating hopefully. So I guess just the overall traffic flow and the impediments of Lapeer Road with the amount of business that would go in with 5 businesses being in that complex. And then thirdly, we were just looking, we're happy to see something a little bit differently. The Burning Oak structure, that structure had a little bit character to it, and we were hoping to see more character than just a square box for this retail, the facade. Because we are Waterstone, we were thinking perhaps if you could have some stone facade, you can have the fake stone facade on the bottom and some wood, or maybe even some cupolas on the top or on the roof, because if you look at our entranceway into Waterstone, we have the cupolas, we have the stone. So because it's close to us, we were just hoping that maybe we would see a little bit of character in the facade, and it wouldn't be just a rectangle, which I see some here, which is nice to see that the architect, Mr. Ray, I believe, Max Ray, took into consideration, so it won't just be a box. But we look forward to working with you. Again, we're residents in the Stony Lake Condo Village there of Waterstone, and those were just some of the things we wanted to bring up this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wishing to speak? Hey,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the special land use at 7:21.
it's been moved by Mr. Curtis, supported by Ms. Rosner. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed. I'll be honest with the rest of the commission.
Comments from,
Yeah, we're going to go comments to that. Is that going to,
They're going to item 10.
What you should do is,
See what I'm
what
saying?
really should have been on the agenda was unfinished business, none, new business, the special land use, then the preliminary site plan, the next, yep.
right, because they've got it as, we're going to go right into the comments for the
Right.
consultants, blah, blah, blah. We'll discuss, but yeah, so there would effectively be no items. See what I'm saying? Correct?
Well, there is an
Correct.
item 10, there's new business, there's,
Yeah, but that's, what he's saying is it's going into the item 10A, it really picks up in line.
That-
you just go to 9A, there is none, so you go to 10A, which 10A
Picks up.
should have been the special land use continuum.
Okay, so let's do that. We'll circle that.
So we'll
That's how
Continue
that's
from-
how it will be in your minutes. It will go from that.
continue from 5 on in 10A.
Yes.
Right. Okay then. Moving into item 10, new business preliminary site plan.
I want to address the special land use first.
Right.
Okay, about their, from the, oh yeah, my bad. Okay, let's get comments from the consultants and staff about the special land use.
Would you like to start with planning, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Okay, so just to reiterate, we have two separate motions that will need to be made. One is for the special land use and one is for the preliminary site plan. So for the special land use, this is only with regard to the drive-through use, which is allowed as a special land use in the C2 district. And it's a drive-through in association with a permitted use. So we have a drive-through use here, which would be the use associated with a potential restaurant or a coffee shop, undetermined at this point, but that whatever use goes in there would have to be permitted by right. So when we look at a special land use, we have section 4.5, which is the criteria called the findings of fact for special land uses. This includes compatibility with adjacent land uses, compatibility with the master plan, compatibility with the other uses in the C2 zoning district, natural features impacts, as well as impacts on public services and traffic. So this property abuts a golf course and commercial property, does not directly abut any residential property. In terms of the drive-through itself, we feel that it is consistent with the criteria for special land uses. However, our main concern was with regard to stacking behind the menu board. The site plan that was submitted had the menu board very close to the drive-through entrance, so there was a potential for backup into the eastern parking area. Mr. Chairman, you might be pulling up the site plan so I can just show in detail what our comment was. While I was pulling it up, I just want to mention that there are several other standards in the zoning ordinance related to drive-through uses. There is section 6. Let me get the number here. Section 6.6, which is just a list of special criteria for stacking requirements. Those have all been met. And there's a separate section, section 8.7H, which is off-street parking, has a separate or an individual section for drive-through stacking requirements, which requires 6 spaces. That has also been met. Our main concern, our primary concern with the special land use is just the location of the menu board. As you can see, it's very close to that eastern parking area, so we recommended that the menu board be shifted to the west so that there can be some stacking behind the speaker box there. I'll let the applicant address that in more detail, but that was our only comment with regard to the special land use. Everything else was met.
Okay, sure.
With regards to the special land use, I mean, that's more of a zoning item, so we don't have any engineering-related comments. We'll, once we talk about the preliminary site plan, we'll address our comments at that point.
All right, commissioner comments about special land use.
Question. The C2, this is the C2 in for the drive-through. We're really only looking at the drive-through component because the strip mall itself is allowed. What C2 areas would a drive-through not be appropriate? It almost seems like if you're going to have a C2, a drive-through would be something that would be regulated in terms of stacking and hours and things, but not necessarily a special land use.
It would come, for example, if there was a residential property to the north, and this was still zone Z2, and the property to the north was a residential property rather than a golf course, there would be some more consideration with regard to screening, noise reduction, to make sure that the residential properties aren't impacted, especially if it's open until 2 a.m. So it's not so much that it wouldn't be permitted, but there may be some more conditions that need to be placed on the property.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, drive-throughs could be regulated through ordinance as opposed to special land use. I'm just looking from an ordinance review point. It almost seems like C2 is commercial and restaurant type of thing, and drive-through.
Yes, I mean, C2 is the most intense commercial district that we have. I don't believe drive-throughs are permitted in the C1. But you're right, I mean, there are different ways that this could have been approached. You could add more standards, saying if it is adjacent to residential, these additional standards apply.
Right.
But it's a special land use, I think, just for making sure that adjacent residential properties, if there are any, won't be impacted.
Right. Okay, I understand. That's why I just kind of, for me, it almost seems like we're really just making sure the protections are there as opposed to whether it's something that's customary in that area.
Right.
I have none.
I have.
No, I mean, I do agree with the stacking. My only concern on that could go into the site plan. That's what I'm saying. It seems like what we're doing is really more site plan issue as opposed to special land use.
Right.
And if I could just address that, Mr. Chen, they are very related. They're interconnected because the special land use criteria does have standards about stacking and parking, making sure that it's not going to be impacted. But for the special land use, we're really just focused on this northern area. The preliminary site plan is going to be the whole site, but they are interconnected.
So in our findings, we can put that protection in there that will address those concerns in the site plan. That when we're going through our findings of fact for the special land use, that those concerns to protect the surrounding area, like you're saying stacking, which would be traffic, would be addressed in the site plan?
If you were going to put conditions on the special land use, those would be tied to the special land use, not necessarily the site plan. I would recommend that if you have issues, for example, if you table the special land use, that you table the preliminary site plan as well, because they are connected. But for a special land use, if you have conditions that you're thinking of, that needs to be made in the special land use motion, not the preliminary site plan motion.
Joel?
Yes, I have a couple of comments. First of all, I'd like to compliment you, the township as well as you,
This is one of the best packages I've seen. I'm new on the block. I've been around for 6 months on the board, but this is one of the best packages I've seen. Addressing the drive-through, I did pull up your layout for your landscaping. I don't see where the headlights and things are going to, you're taking care of that with your trees. I don't like the curb in there, but I'm not a curb person on the drive-in. Callie, I don't know, the way they explained it to us, that this is going to be a small,
Non-intense.
business. It's not geared to be backed up with like McDonald's or...
Wait, no, that's not my, I'm just wondering if we did put the conditions of the stacking and stuff, to me, it's in the site plan, it wouldn't be in special land use.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find out where we would put it.
I talked to Pete, the fire chief, and things about the stacking, about the location of the board and things, and those, they're gonna have to work through a little bit of that, but I don't see the amount of volume of stacking in this small business at the end of that. Whether it's maybe a coffee shop, have a little stacking there, ice cream shop, I don't see a problem.
Well, I also considered if this ever changes hands and Leo's ever sells, if something else comes
That's
in
true.
there, there is a limitation, so I kind of looked at even the bigger picture. I don't have a problem with the drive-through, I'm just trying to see if we had, my question is if we had stipulations, at what point are they necessary? Okay. That's all I was trying to...
The other thing I did note is the appreciation that you're going to keep that exit open during your construction. You're going to saw cut that. You're going to allow the tractor store and that to be used. So the exit plan for the drive-through, I like that setup there. I don't like the small area on 24 where they're going to cross if they're going to go north. I did that today for the first time, very first time. And it was different, but it's no different than what we have on other parts of 24 down south of here. So we're going to have, but I think it's a good plan.
We need to review each finding of fact.
If there are individual ones that you want to call out, I would, if you are in agreement that all the findings of fact have been met, you can, in my opinion, summarize it with just the section number.
I don't have a problem with findings of fact.
And we're referring to your planner's report.
Right.
Correct. I would agree to that.
Right, okay. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah.
We don't have to.
So I do have one question though, because I'm preparing something. Currently, the menu board is in spot 3 or spot 5?
6.
It's in spot 6? 1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
5 and 6.
6, okay.
The six is the first card that's on the show.
And we agreed to move this.
So
Just spot 2.
it's currently in number 6, and you're recommending it be moved to
Number 2.
number 2? Okay. All right. I move the Planning Commission grant special land use approval to permit a drive-in, drive-through business associated with a permitted use. Location 595 North Lapeer Road, parcel number 04-22-151-005, zone C2, general commercial. Applicant, PELJ Properties LLC. Drive-in, drive-through uses associated with a permitted use are listed as a special land use within the C2 General Commercial Zoning District in which the subject property is located. Per Ordinance 67A, Article 3.5.L.2.K, this approval is based upon the following findings. Number 1, the proposed special land use meets the finding of fact criteria contained in Section 4.5 of the zoning ordinance. Number 2, the proposed drive-through use meets the special provisions for drive-in, drive-through businesses contained in Section 6.6 of the zoning ordinance. Further, this approval is conditioned upon movement of the menu board from spot 6 to spot 2. End of motion.
I second.
Been moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Knoll. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, those in, going to be a roll call for special land use. Okay, roll call.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes.
Spiz?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Young?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passes. Okay, item 9, there is none. Item 10, new business preliminary site plan, Oxford Commons. Okay, now we can go back and, if you'd like, we'll come back up. We know who you are, who you're representing. We don't have to go through that. But if there are items that you did notice in the planners' reports, you can address those if you wish.
Okay. Well, the menu board was our main concern. We can address that. I'd like to go over just the building itself, materials and the exterior.
Okay?
Basically, we have a front half and a back half. The front half is, of course, brick, underscored by 3 courses of some rock face cement masonry units. And the back half is from grade to underside of mansard is a ground face CMU unit. The other elements, the columns, the trim, the neutral piers, the rakes, the cold molding, crown moldings are all PVC, and basically a Dover white color. And then we do have some colors in the 2 gables in the front, a Belvedere cream color and some lattice work in another green color. The roof, we have standing seam in the mint green. And then the window sashes and doors would be a darker forest green. The glass would be, of course, clear insulated. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. I request your approval.
All right, why don't we go into the consultant's reports?
As long as he's going to stay, you can keep him in the shot and then include.
Sure, so, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our main concern again was the menu board location tied to that special land use. Because the special land use is contingent upon them moving it, it's, you know, it's going to be addressed. So that was our main concern. I just wanted some clarification from the applicant just regarding the rear access doors. It looks like they're employee only. I just wanted to confirm that they're not customer entrances, because there is a lot of parking in the rear. So we're just making sure that customers that park in the rear parking lot have good pedestrian access to the front of the building.
Yeah, we've discussed that, and we're amenable depending on who the tenant is. If they desire a rear entrance, we would provide them with a glass door, an awning, and a small sign for that approach. But it's really depending on who leases the space.
Right.
We will accommodate that rear entrance situation if they so desire.
Sure, and I just wanted to, we don't have an ordinance standard requiring rear entrances. I just was thinking from a customer standpoint.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The only other comment we had was just with regard to the cross-access easement to the south. Just want to make sure that there's an existing easement on the books, a cross-access easement.
There is an existing easement. It will be noted on the final drawings.
Great, yep, just noting on the final drawings, that would be our comment with regards to that. But those were only 2 comments.
Mr. Sharp?
Yeah, you have probably in front of you our letter dated October 27th. I'm just going to hit a couple of the key points on there that the Planning Commission would be interested in. Regarding the sanitary sewer, there is existing 10-inch sanitary sewer on the west side of 24 that was previously serving the Burning Oak restaurant. So there is capacity in that existing sanitary sewer, and the RUs we anticipate would probably be very comparable, so no issues there. As far as the water distribution goes, there's an existing 12-inch water main on the west side of 24, again in front of their property, which they will be putting in a little bit of new water main and a fire hydrant in the back of the building. with some fire suppression. There is an existing private well on the site that was utilized before for the domestic water. That needs to be abandoned. They have indicated that, but we just want to make sure that that is addressed. Regarding the stormwater, they're proposing a stormwater retention pond in the rear of the site, very similar to the Tractor Supply that was done next door. They have done some soil borings and, similar to the Tractor Supply. They came back very good in terms of percolation, so they're going to be using that to infiltrate into the ground, which is definitely allowed under our ordinances. And with regards to the pavements, they do have the one approach that's coming in off of M24 along with the shared access. We do have that pseudo Michigan left, that they're going to have to cut across, but until MDOT comes out and redoes those turnarounds, I think that's what we're going to be stuck with. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any issues with the Tractor Supply, and those people are pulling trailers and so forth out of there. There is an existing safety path already in front of the property that was put in actually by the township just a few years back as to connect from Market Street down to Gateway Drive. And with that, we are recommending approval of the preliminary site plan.
Okay. We've also got the fire department. The chief's not here tonight, so you're aware of their requirements?
Yes.
Each location needs a separate address, Knox blocks.
We concur.
Okay. Don't think there's any issue from the Parks and Rec. And the Oakland County Sheriff, they were good with it as well. I think that's all the correspondence we've got on. Commission is, yes, Jack.
I know we talked in our pre-application meeting about the monitoring wells that are on the property.
Yes.
And I know when you go and pave, you're going to preserve those
Yes.
wells. Okay,
With a concrete color around.
thank you. I just wanted to make sure we had that. I believe it's on the print.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Any
That was my
other
only concern.
questions or comments or concerns?
But from a voluntary standpoint, I know we don't have a lot of control of the design, and I just, I heard what some members of the community said. Did you look at all about maybe emulating some of the look of the Waterstone entrance into the design of the building? And I only say that because Oxford has a lot of vacant strip malls. Sometimes if they look better or fit into the surroundings, sometimes people are more drawn to them. But I know Leo's is a great restaurant, a lot of people like it, but has any thought been put into making it match that design a little bit closer?
It's the first I've heard of it, but my design has some Greek antiquity elements in the gables because it is, Spasinopolis is Greek and the restaurant is Greek fare. And so we followed that theme. But the architrave, the gable, the columns, and the cornice and crown work.
Yeah, I saw the columns in that front design, and then that straight spot in the middle. Like I said, it's voluntary because we don't really have a lot of control over.
Yeah, we do have some colorful awnings that'll go over the storefronts, which will give it a market fare. I mean, it's, not gonna be boring in by any means. I mean, it's giving some color and some life. But that's, it's our preference.
And we don't really have the color mock-ups on ours either. We're just looking at that, from this black and white perspective, so it doesn't really
I can give you a color.
show as much as, it's hard to visualize it from this,
Right.
what we have.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else from the commissioners?
Nope. I guess that's a bit more of a question, somewhat concerned. Comment was made by our planner relative to the doors in the back on the west side. Now, I had a similar concern that you see a coffee shop or an ice cream shop with that drive-through, the one tenant just to the south of there, if they make that an access door for the parking on the back, isn't that going to be a safety concern?
Sorry, I thought you were addressing the applicant.
Well, it's more of a question, and I don't believe we have an ordinance that can say yes or no, but it's just more of a concern I have is that if we see a coffee shop or an ice cream shop on that north side, and then the tenant just south of him decides that he wants to have access through that back door, if we have that, pull that mat back up, the drive-through's right there.
Look both ways.
I think there's a loading zone there as well.
Just
So when you come out of that
south of there.
drive and you're supposed to drive out and go around the loading zone, the back of those three.
But I think the loading zone's gonna be farther south than that. I don't think the door's gonna show right there. I have to check.
See the doors here.
Yeah, you see that door right just south of that
Right
drive-through? Yeah.
Yeah, well, the doors open right into the exit where the people are putting their food like this and driving.
So we're asking to consider taking this door and putting it over here then?
I have concern with, especially that door, you know, from a safety, people walking in and out of it just from their normal days, and it's all gonna depend on what tenants you guys put in there. You know, I would rather see, especially that one, not have that door as an normal, everyday access door, more of a employee door. The other ones I'm less concerned because it's farther away, but I see that as a potential safety issue. Somebody walking out that door and somebody coming to directly at the same time, potentially get hit.
Do you want me to address that?
Please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we concur, we can smooth that door over and protect it with bollards as well, so that, you know, a person has 2 steps to see what's coming before
Really hit.
before there's any...
Any kind of safety provision we can put in there, I would support.
Yes, I would add bollards and move the door.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, as of right now, this current plan does not have those customer access in the rear, correct?
We're not showing it at...
Yeah, so I think if you do decide, if a tenant decides to have a rear access, we would likely require, you know, that loading space to be moved. It would probably have to be some type of sidewalk in front. I would just recommend that it would have to come back for either administrative approval of an amended site plan, and we could look at it at that time. But the current site plan in front of us does not have rear access doors.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but how do you control that? Is there tenants could change, you know, over time? How do you control that they come back in for an adjusted site plan because of that? That's my concern.
Could they do a curb and a fence like I've seen a lot of do, where you just put a fence and then open it up farther to the south where there's an opening?
Well, I mean, any change to the site plan would either require administrative minor site plan approval through the building department or major through the planning commission. So if the applicant is intending to change any portion of the site, they'll have to come back for some type of approval. Now, in terms of whether or not we can control them just putting a door and opening it to, there's nothing in the ordinance that says we can control that. So I don't think we can make a condition or a zoning ordinance related condition on that.
And I agree. I think it's more of, I'll call it a gentleman's agreement from a safety concern standpoint that, you know, by moving the door, putting a bollar there, and other things from a safety standpoint, I think the owner would be beneficial from doing something like that.
Right.
From a safety issue for pedestrians.
And accommodate the tenant, we would take
Correct.
proper steps to it.
It's my only comment.
Any other commissioner comments?
So I'm asking a question of this board. Janae, do you want included if the rear access doors change from employee-only doors to customer access doors, zoning administrator review of any change will be required? Because currently now they're all employee doors only.
I don't think that would hurt to have that in there, no. Okay, I would support that.
And the reason why, if we mentioned why.
I believe also you agree that either way, you're going to move that door a little bit farther south.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not a problem.
Okay. I move that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary site plan for Oxford Commons, location 595 North Lapeer Road, parcel number 04-22-151-005, zoned C2 General Commercial. Applicant PELJ Properties LLC. This approval is based upon the finding that the preliminary site plan meets the criteria for preliminary site plan approval contained in section 12.5 of the zoning ordinance. Further, this approval is conditioned upon the following: any additional unresolved items from the planner's review dated October 31st, 2017. Any additional unresolved items from the fire chief's review dated October 31st, 2017. Any additional unresolved items from the engineer's review dated October 27th, 2017. And number 4, for public safety, if rear access doors change from employee-only doors to customer access doors, zoning administrator, it will be required the zoning administrator review these changes to ensure public safety. End of motion.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Knoll. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. What's your timeline? What's the time?
Oh, you guys have a timeline for shovels in the grounds and things like that?
When you gonna open?
Deal's going up north.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
After deer season.
So you're gonna start after deer season?
Yes.
Good, thank you, gentlemen.
We're going to do the foundation.
Let's move on to item number 10B, which I missed earlier. I apologize for that.
And I thought I had it all on my first sheet.
We're going to move into the 2018 meeting schedule. I'll pull it up here. Okay, so has everybody reviewed the schedule?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. That's usually board review, that March 8th, with the asterisk. But there's no asterisk on the schedule. Was that necessary? Is that something? I guess people were racking their brain on what's the little asterisk for.
My guess might
It
be
used to
that,
be the board review because it was up in the vets hall, if I remember right. You couldn't have it in the vets hall because all of the paperwork is up there. Or something like that, but
go to the joint with,
there's no decoder wheel on it. And then my other, sorry? Yeah, so unless we find out another reason for it, I don't know why it's on there. The economic development is not a subcommittee, the ordinance review is not a subcommittee, and we have 2 other committees, we have Lot Spent and the gravel committee, and I say that because it's our ordinance and our bylaws use the words committee and subcommittee interchangeably, but they're really committee in our bylaws in most of our ordinance wording, so we really should be saying committee. And if gravel committee is a function of planning commission, I really don't know. It's a gravel committee, it's under ordinance or not, if it needs to be on here, but the lot split is, according to our bylaws and ordinance, so usually it should all be on there. And the wording for ordinance review says ordinance review, it should say committee, might meet the second Thursday. Do we really want to put that?
yeah, it's the
I
same
would rather
way.
say that ordinance review, it just lists the committees. The gravel committee, lot split, ordinance review, and economic development committee will meet as posted or whatever.
Well, they usually meet as required.
Yeah, but just as posted, just say or we don't say anything about the committees. I don't know if we have to, because they're not
Well,
regular committees. They're committees, but they would meet when a meeting's called, so they're not regular meetings. I don't know, Jack, I mean, it just,
I was going to say, let's send this back to, let's send this back with those needed corrections and see if we can't get a little more clear. I agree, the word might, while I would use it, we might need if we have an agenda,
Yeah.
or we have some, like right now, we're not meeting because we don't have the village manager, we just got a DDA guy, and it changes frequently, so we might meet, but if you're looking for a word that's,
right, and like ordinance review, we had just kind of picked the Thursday, but the next group that comes in may pick a different day. It's totally optional. of when-
so why don't we just change it to, committees of the planning.
Thank you. Committees of the Planning
Committees of
Commission
the
will,
planning commission will meet as required or needed.
and,
Leave it at that,
yeah, meeting notice will be posted.
okay?
and these are the dates.
Okay, so we'd like to move this back and review it again next meeting, right, with the new language, or can we?
When is the next meeting?
The second Thursday of December.
Well, I'm just wondering, because, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, but this has to go in front of the full board for final approval. So
Yes, it
timing
does.
Okay,
Yeah, I would
so
say
let's-
take off the asterisk, take off everything about the committees, and just say what the chair just said, that, committees of the Planning Commission will meet
As required.
as required, and notice will be posted and notice will be posted.
Do we call them subcommittees or committees?
They're
Just
committees.
So
Either
do
way.
we, just,
Committees of the planning.
Yeah.
Jack,
Okay, the committees of the planning commission, like the economic development, we will meet on the first Wednesday of the month if we have an agenda. But it's got to be the first Wednesday of the month because of the room scheduling. Just like the ordinance review committee will meet the second Thursday prior to the planning. It's a scheduling thing. I believe the asterisk, and I'm not just guessing at that, is at the time of the year for the assessors.
Yeah, that's the Board of Review. That
Board of
used to be
Review.
Board of Review when
Yeah.
we were up in the Vets Hall, and we had to change the date.
Yeah, well, they were in
They
here
use
too on those
They use
dates.
this room.
They
Yeah,
were
but
in
they
here.
just put they do it that night?
They do it from,
I think they have 2 evenings.
there's 2 evenings they do it on, and this is one of them.
Is that because it's a special meeting on the 8th?
I don't know. It's marked ordered, one we have to have.
Because the 8th would be the second Thursday, just for the fact that it's the 8th, right?
And I don't
It's still the
know.
second Thursday, so I don't know why the asterisk is there. If the meeting's called, we have to have it here.
Yes.
It used to be because it was the asterisk, because we actually changed the meeting. It wasn't the second or the first
Yeah.
Thursday, or the second Thursday. But the 8th is the second Thursday.
And I don't know that, so I can't answer that. But let's go through these changes again if you want to get this done tonight.
so, yeah, we would like to strike the 2 notes as they
Let's
exist.
go through it word by word so we got them all right here. No, the economic development,
No, we were going to take that all off and say, committees of the Planning Commission will meet as needed. And meeting
I'm
notice
not
will be
gonna, make that change. The committees will not meet as needed. The committees will meet on the first, the Economic Development Committee will meet as needed on the first Wednesday of each month.
Okay,
The second one would say the Ordinance Review Committee
No,
may meet on the second Thursday prior to the Planning Commission.
that would change.
she's saying that could change.
That we pick that date. It could be
Well,
any day.
we're gonna pick that date and approve it, and then if you wanna change it, we can change it, but we have to have something to give the board. If you don't have an answer tonight, we're gonna give them this answer.
You don't have to put it. If it's not a regular,
Well, I'm
It's not
told
a
I have to
regular
do it, so I'm
body.
going to do it. If you don't like what I'm doing, you might have to bring that up, and before the next meeting of the trustees. But we're gonna walk through this and get this wording down right so I can do my job and take it back.
okay, well, this is the committee, and this is the body here. What I'm telling you is ordinance review subcommittee.
as a body of three, we picked that date to be a Thursday at this time, that might change. We might not want to do it Thursday,
Okay.
we might do it Wednesday.
I
when
think
the
by
finance here.
inserting the word may, it's, you may meet then, you may meet some time else, you
And
may
see,
not
that's
meet
what
at
we're
all.
trying to get rid
You're
of, is
locking
the
it
word
into
might
the-
or may.
You're locking it into the second Thursday, and that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes we met on the fourth
Then
Thursday,
don't you just cancel your meeting?
sometimes it's the fourth Thursday,
Or you reschedule.
or we reschedule.
So you could put it there and then just reschedule.
These, again, these are placeholders for the meeting rooms.
The ORC doesn't meet in this room. It
But we
meets
do
in-
if we,
Right, Dave? Huh? You do or you don't?
huh?
You do or you don't, or you have to or you can't, or you
It's
can't.
supposed to be open to the public, you're supposed to have it in here, any committee meeting. You know, and then that's the case, if
Okay, so we're not calling it the Economic Development Subcommittee anymore. What are we calling it?
isn't it Economic Development Committee?
Is that what it is?
Right.
And the Ordinance Review
Committee?
They're all committees.
Committee, we're taking out the word might. Meets, we'll put in meets.
Or you put committee.
The first Wednesday of each month at 6:30 is needed. That's already in there. The Ordinance Review Committee meets the second Thursday prior to the Planning Commission each month at 5:30 as needed. So that's in there. Quarterly meetings are in there. The ASTREC needs understanding. There's no legend.
Well, we should
Gravel and
remove, we should remove the asterisk then, because we,
Well, I'm just gonna put down it needs understanding. There's no legend. And then with that, I'll make a motion to approve the Charter Township of Oxford Planning Commission proposed 2018 meeting schedule as amended. I'll second that.
been moved by Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Knoll. Is there any discussion on the motion?
And what about the other committees that we have reports at the end of the planning commission meetings? We get lot split, we've got gravel.
Put a general note on there, all the committees of the planning commission will meet as needed.
We have all these committees that we have listed in our regular agendas that we give reports on. They exist.
The gravel inspection is one, and it's never held here. It's always on sites. The ordinance review subcommittee is covered. The acreage and lot split,
That's as needed.
I'll address each one of them. Acreage and lot split. When do you normally meet?
We don't. It's as required. It's on
Lot
demand.
split as needed.
On demand.
Ordinance review, gravel for safety path and maintenance committee.
Is that a regular scheduled date?
No.
That's as needed, correct?
As needed. Water and sewer as needed.
Those aren't, I guess my question on those, Jack, those aren't committees of
Planning commission.
the planning commission.
Right.
So you don't have to list them on here, in my opinion.
Unlisted. Zoning Board of Appeals
That one wouldn't be listed either.
and Village Planning Commission.
No.
Okay. So then I've added acreage lot split as needed. And that's it. To amend my motion. I'll second the amended motion.
Any other discussion on the motion as amended? Okay, seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the meeting schedule passes. To be forwarded to the township. Which brings us to item number 11, communications and committee reports. Violations report. Any comments on the violation report? Seeing none. Committee reports.
We did not meet. Our Economic Development Committee was canceled.
Okay. And before that, there, as I'm aware, there's no acreage or lot split that was performed. Gravel Inspection Committee. Jack, can you speak
You
on
want to
that?
talk or I can talk? We held our meeting, we went to all the sites. We did not get aerials or a helicopter ride that day as it was raining. The report is being compiled and will be ready in Deanna's office.
Yes.
Was it posted?
No, that I'm aware of, no.
It's not required to be posted.
Is it a meeting?
No. It's a gravel inspection, and it's not a meeting. It is not to be posted. We have an attorney letter from 2 years ago when we went through this whole thing.
Ordinance Review Committee.
We did not meet.
Okay. On our agendas, we need to get rid of the word sub.
Yep.
Reports from other township boards and committees. Safety path.
Nothing to report.
So water, sewer.
Vessel number 4 is back up and running. We got a lucrative settlement from the supplier of the tank for our out-of-warranty tank, 12 years out of warranty. And we are now going to move into determining the cost to repair vessel number 1. It's expressing the same condition, not as bad, but we're going to look into it as soon as possible. Our plans are being drawn up to remove the Mickelson well house, and Jim will have some further information this week from WRC as they've cambered the wells to ensure that submersible well pumps will be functioning properly. And Lake Villa Mobile Home Park, Jim, I'm talking for Jim really on this one. If they're going to abandon the wells, tear the well house down, remove the tanks, and vacate the property, probably within the next month. Did I speak good for you, Jim?
Contractor's ready to go. We're just waiting on Detroit Edison and Consumers Energy to turn off the gas and the electric to the site. Then we'll get in there and do all the demolition.
Okay. ZBA, not me.
Yep, not had me.
Village Planning Commission.
We did not meet because of the election.
Okay, planner and engineering reports.
I have no comment, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Sharp?
Nothing further.
Okay. With that, then, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 8:09.